Ron.
Ron? All right, I'd like to call to order the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Finance for Wednesday, February 11th. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Not in attendance right now is John, and Les is also not in attendance, and we have Brianna via video on the screen. So seeing here, we have also no public comment. I'll read through the communications and correspondence. We had correspondence from Maureen Correa, Marnie McNiff, Andy Correa, Aaron Scalara, and Jennifer Augusto. Then I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of the previous meetings of January 14th and February 4th. Do I have a second?
A second?
Second. Any discussion on it? Yeah.
I wasn't at the.
Actually, I wasn't either, sorry. Brianna should
Okay.
second.
All right.
We might need to approve them individually because
I was.
Okay, then I'll rescind that motion and I'll make a motion that we approve the January 14th meetings. Do I have a
I'll
second?
second that.
Second that. No, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Then I have, I'll make a motion that we approve the February 4th tri-board meeting minutes. Do I have a second?
I second that.
Naheed seconds that. Any discussion on that? None? All in favor? Aye. Four. Brian's abstaining. I'm gonna make a motion that we amend our agenda and add in a Paul Checo new school update, financial school update. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Mr. Checo, please come to the table.
Good evening.
Good evening. Great. Oh, that's big paper.
You know what? It's because it's little numbers.
Well, they're actually big numbers on little paper.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We have a nice big sheet, Brianna.
We can afford 11 by 17 pages.
This is not a
Do I get
little by
do I get
17.
reimbursement for using my office for this? Okay.
Thank you.
So this is the latest financial from the new school project. Thank you for moving up the agenda for me. This was just prepared yesterday by Emily from Arcadis. So this is the most recent figures. Right now, what you really want to pay attention to is the third row from the right, which is the uncommitted balance, which is $782,610. That's essentially $600,000 from the Fields project and the off-site work, $119 in owner contingency, making up that number with a few other minor unencumbered items for professional fees. What you're not seeing here, which is part of the GMP, is that we still have just over 1.2 million in unencumbered CM contingents. So that's a big nut that's still out there that has not been expended. Because we've been in mediation, we've asked multiple times for that accounting and for the return of that to the owner, because the unexpended CM contingency gets returned to the owner at the end of the project,
The owner being us.
the owner being us. So, we've asked our counsel for determination on the use and expenditure of that contingency by the CM. We're waiting for that determination.
I'm so sorry, what is CM abbreviation? I'm so sorry, that's probably really dumb, but
Where are you?
I'm,
So this
CM.
contingency, CM.
Oh, CM,
CM contingency.
construction manager contingency.
thank you.
You're welcome. So that's in what we call the GMP, which is part of the original budget. So all totaled, our uncommitted balance right now is closer to $2 million.
Okay.
All right?
Pretty damn near close, yes. Yep.
Yeah. With that, I'll give you a quick update on mediation. Brian, I know you walked the site with me. Steve has walked the site with us. And one of the biggest issues
Should we
was.
go into executive session?
No, this, I appreciate that. These are only things that were the positive results of mediation, nothing that's active. So one of the biggest items we had was in site work. We actually had a very good, lengthy but good mediation session with Gerber, who's the site work contractor. They will be coming back in the spring to handle the entire front field, the entire grass pavers around the left side and the rear of the building, their punch list items, and the grass that's in the front of the building. So they were amenable to coming back and completing their work. That was probably one of the biggest ones for us to get them back there. We're continuing to have additional schedules. We've had
How
successful
much
ones.
is that worth that we were contesting with Gerber?
We had a holdback of 1.4 million, which was twice the value. There's about 700,000 in their contract. We've released 260,000 as of the last application for payment
Mhm.
that Marcia's office reviewed and remitted. So, you know, it was a series of concessions on both sides. I won't even say concessions,
Yeah, you
agreements
don't
on
have to
both
go into details.
sides.
I'm just
that
interested in the numbers.
Released some of their funds. They made commitments in mediation to do that work.
Okay.
We have submittals on it, which are in front of the engineer now, so that was a positive outcome. We've had good mediation sessions and closed out with HHS Mechanical, with Shepherd Steel, and BK Flooring, so those contracts are closed out. We're picking away one at a time with these. We're still active right now in active mediation with Marguerite Concrete and Con Acoustics. And after those, I would say generally.
That's the floor, the gym floor?
No,
Problem with the gym floor? No?
no, that was R&B flooring.
Oh,
We
okay.
did the gym floor. After those, most of these are relatively minor contracts, whether it's O&M, operations and maintenance, submittals, closed out documentation, final release of liens, paperwork items that they need to submit, and a few minor, probably PCOs that are floating around.
And when do you think you'll have a closure?
That's tough to tell. I mean, we've been running, prior to last week, we were running 2 mediation sessions a week in handling Gerber. We were supposed to, we had a tentative one for Con Acoustics today. I reached out to council. A calendar invite was never sent out, so I don't know why that wasn't put on the calendar. But we do have active dates close to, like I said, 2 a week through April to do this.
Okay.
It would be beneficial to us to move through these, because the less I have to pay in legal fees, the less, the more we're happy, the more we can preserve. You know, we're running a couple $100,000 in legal fees right now to get this done.
It's eating us alive. On the state reimbursements, they have given us 13 million so far. Those are all approved, they're clean, they have everything they need.
Yep.
We're not gonna have the problem we had last time.
No, and we've actually, that's maxed out already. That's
Yeah.
the maximum of our state reimbursements.
Okay,
We've
so
received
we're
that.
good there.
We're done.
We're good, done. Don't,
Emily.
they're not gonna come back to us in 8 years and say, give me back $8 million.
Emily from Fuentes from Arcadis has done a great job with
They're good.
making sure that things are ticked and tied.
Okay.
One of the most recent things that we ran into, and I think this came out during the gym floor credit change order, was that we used their contract values off of their applications for payment. She used the contract values off of the change orders. Apparently, she brought to our attention last month during this whole issue that there is no reconciliation on ONG's part between what's on the change order and what's on the applications for payment. We brought it to ONG's attention, they said, yes, they know they have to catch up with it. We've requested that be done prior to any further applications for payment being submitted.
Okay,
So,
that makes sense.
we need those reconciliations.
Okay, that makes sense. Are you pretty confident we're gonna end up under budget, in budget?
Look, if we get that same contingency and it's not expended by the construction manager, yes. I don't know what they would expend it on at this point, if construction is completed. So, I mean, that's where we're at. Depends on how much we're running for legal fees too.
So when all is said and done, the things I think you showed it to a couple of the Board of Finance members, I know you and I did a walk over there,
Yep.
where there are clear issues. I mean, laymen could see problems. Are those gonna all be fixed?
That's our hope, those are our next two big mediations. Like I said, Gerber was a big one, because that addressed all the site work.
Yeah.
We were successful in that. They were perfect gentlemen in their mediation, so that helped.
They're gonna give us new dirt?
Yes, they're putting down, actually, I have it with me here, the rock, basically, someone take the front field. There was rocks in there, we didn't think that there was adequate topsoil. They're gonna come in, they're gonna rock hound it, which punches up rocks 1 to 2 inches in size. They're gonna scarify it, bring it down 6 inches below grade. They're bringing in 4 inches of topsoil to put on top of that. They're gonna rock punch it again to get rocks up to 1 inch in size out of there. Then they're gonna hydroseed it, and they're gonna take care of that between April and the end of school.
Okay. That's good.
And then the town will take over watering and mowing.
Yeah, okay, that's good,
So,
that's good.
you know, it's a balancing.
The
act.
windows with the gaps and all of those.
That's our next big one.
That's your big one.
That's our next big
Yeah.
one. So,
So the CM's unencumbered money of the 1.2 has nothing to do with the ongoing discussions that are continuing on with the last open items. That's a separated account.
that's a separated account.
So that's sort of isolated from what you're dealing with now on the
Yes.
smaller things.
Yep.
And the 762 is isolated, or the,
762 is ours. to
yes, or
expend how we-
782, yeah.
Yeah, how we want to expend it. Again, we're trying to preserve as much as possible because we do, we made commitments to BBSA.
Yeah, and what's gonna happen?
Yeah, at Westcomere. And, you know, we made donation or an expenditure to the high school lights as an agreement with BBSA. So we're trying to fulfill our commitments with that.
Is the commitment on the lights in the uncommitted balance, or is it in the committed?
No, that's already been.
Right now, for some reason, I just circled that, thank you for pointing it
Yeah.
out. This 599 should be 150 lower, and I just circled to find out why. We had an issue on our side where we did an entry and then accidentally reversed it. So I just wanted to make sure on our side that we've got that entry in there and Emily's got it, that,
Yeah, that was the
we balanced
150
it.
that we
She knows what
switched,
you're
that we
thinking.
moved from that to the contingency.
Correct.
I thought she had moved it back after we got the approved change order, the
Okay.
gym credit change order approved.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure we.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So that's where we stand.
Need any questions?
Slightly off topic, did we ever get the CO closed?
No, that's an open issue right now. We had a positive code modification request from the state building official. 2.5 months after that, we had a negative modification request from the state fire marshal's office. So now the state building official has to go back, rescind their positive, and we've spoken with Tecton about, they're speaking with the contractors about corrective measures. The reason why they're speaking with the contractors and we don't want to take it on ourselves is because if we take it on and something were to happen in the future, whether it's a trip and fall, whether the liability falls on us. So we want to make sure that since the shop drawings clearly showed an 11-inch dimension on the tread, that the contractor is responsible for providing what was on the shop drawing and what's out there. So that's the open issue right now. And
So we
haven't-
have reached resolution on that issue?
No, because the building, the state building official gave us the code mod. The state fire official did not. Much to my dismay, there was a meeting held out at the site that we were not informed of or notified of to meet with the state fire marshal on this issue. I wish we were, because we could have maybe spoken on our own behalf, but that wasn't the case. We weren't informed of it. So unfortunately, now after the state fire marshal has issued a negative declaration on it,
Right.
the state building official has to come back and reverse his decision so that they all match. Once that happens, then we can proceed.
Okay.
And I know our design professionals has reached out to our local officials, and they said they can't talk to them until,
So once that's settled, will we be able to get a full final CO?
once that's settled, that's the only open issue.
Because the sprinkler
We,
was taken
we
care of.
satisfied the sprinkler issue, we have the additional sprinkler heads
So
put in.
this is the only thing that's
This is the
holding
only
us up.
open item.
Yep.
John, anything? Marcia? Alright.
I think Emily and Marcia have been working together quite a lot.
Steve, any more to add
No,
before we let him go?
No,
Good luck on the mediations, we're all waiting for this to,
I hate mediation.
We can't wait to get this settled.
You can't, I can't. It's such a long road.
yeah,
It's
because
a-
there's a bunch of projects coming up that are in your bailiwick that we
Yeah.
need you.
Yeah, and you know what, we all know closeout takes a long time, it takes a long time on any project. It's just a matter of getting people to the table. But thank you again for moving
Thank
the
you.
agenda. Thanks for
Enjoy your night.
I will.
All right. I'd like to make another motion that we
Yeah.
move the Board of Education report to now in the agenda. Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor? Aye. Caroline, come join us.
I can come to the table now.
You can come to the table now. For everybody that's gonna watch this or listening in, this is Caroline's
All right,
first time to the table. We're just gonna go through the report, ask her questions. More than likely, she will have to go back and get any answers to her questions. She's getting a feel for what we wanna see and how we gonna ask her questions. So if we ask a question tonight and it doesn't get answered, we'll let her get back to us and respond back. So,
Absolutely.
welcome to the table, and
welcome.
Thank you. Good evening.
what we basically have done is we just walked through the letter here. This is what you had at your finance meeting, correct?
Yep.
So you can walk us
Correct.
through this, and what's yours?
Okay. So, very high level,
Making it bigger.
No, that's
Thank you, yeah.
very high level, with the budget variances that we do have, we do anticipate to still manage within the approved operating budget for this fiscal year. So some of our largest trends, on the shortfall side, I guess, include paras and substitutes. I think the paras was anticipated, because we renegotiated that contract. We did not account for the increase that we had ended up landing at for the 25-26 budget. It's now, will be accounted for in the new one, but that's the majority of the shortfall there. And then other professional services, at 130,000, that is mostly special education services.
You took over your computer.
No, that'll come back.
Okay. As noted, I did ask for some more detailed information on that one, what types of services, where we're running over, and is there anything we can do in district to mitigate that going forward? So that's a pending open question to our team. Legal fees continue to trend over a little bit as well. On the better side, we do have a significant savings right now, or a positive variance in the administrative side, right, with the changes in the super leadership. We had anticipated covering a lot more financially, so that's coming in at the largest positive. And then a small, I would say incremental positives on the athletics and employee benefits.
I'll go back to that page, unless you're doing this.
I'm not doing this.
Alright.
So the difference between the top box and the bottom box is pretty significant. You're still underwater, right?
120,000,
You're underwater, yeah.
You got 510 and
Yes,
worse
You're underwater.
expenses and
Yeah.
410.
We are, but so this summary doesn't account for, it looks like, all of our positives. I mean, the largest bucket we're actually trending positive in is special education transportation. That bucket, if you look at one of the next, the year-to-date budget
It's gonna go up.
report,
But-
yeah.
But that, so let's talk about that and break it down, right? That's a bucket that can change in a heartbeat. So when you're failing on the top part, you can't rely on the special ed transportation to bail you out from the point of view is that can change with one student so fast that our head will spin.
So I hear you, and I dove into the positive part of the transportation budget in the finance committee meeting, and the majority of the positive impact actually came from last summer, when a bunch of students, the full year students, opted out of summer education, and so most of our savings came over that. So I hear you on the variability of it, but that savings is not something we're counting on month by month. It's a savings that occurred basically in Q1.
So in the special ed, and again, I know you might not have an answer, we have budgeted for 32 students, we have 29, and we got $500,000 in savings because of special ed transportation.
Mhm.
That number is out of whack. Because without the 428 and the savings of the transportation, unless I'm reading this wrong, our 32 budgeted students that we budgeted, the 29 have grasped that, and we've gone over on the top part, because you said the special services on the top part's 130.
On the tuition piece.
Right.
Yes,
So
correct.
we don't have a grasp on that quite, or no, do we? You don't have to answer. You can get an answer. I don't want to put you on the spot. But you heard what I'm saying is, right now, we baked in,
We made some assumptions around the services for the 32 students, and I think, if, I can confirm this, but the services that were needed for the 29 were above and beyond what they used as an assumption for the 32.
What's the program for the older students that?
Transition?
Yeah,
right?
my understanding when I talked last, and this could be down level, was that there's a pretty big reduction in the number of transition students versus what we expected, and the tuition for them are significantly less than the tuition for non-transit, whatever the
Correct.
hell the name is.
Yes,
So there's a
that's
mixed
correct.
impact between transition and non-transition, which is causing the tuition to be higher even though the students are down. That doesn't explain the transportation, I don't know about the
But the
transportation.
transportation, it just sounds like you just said that
Yeah.
the students went to the tuition, but they drove themselves.
I don't know if they drove
Or
themselves,
someone
but see, yeah, the
We didn't drive
transportation
them.
that was budgeted for last summer to carry over, because the students, the special education students attend full year, I think, programs full year. They opted out of the summer piece. I don't know if they picked education back up in the fall, I mean, I can get those details, but the savings, the majority of the transportation savings came from Q1.
well, here's the fine line that we're walking, because prior budget, we said, budget to what you have, we'll cover the rest, don't worry about it. Last year's Board of Ed fought us, you gotta give us this money,
Yeah,
it's gotta be
and-
put in here, we're gonna handle all of this. And now we're still gonna be looking at possible negativity that we gotta cover, but yet they took on all the risk. You're gonna have 42 and we're really gonna count the 482 in transportation as a gain? I mean, because again, that's not in the student one-on-one tuitions that we gave in. So what are you saying, Marcia? What am I missing?
I think we're coming under budget by 300,000.
Right now we are.
Only
yeah.
because of the transportation, not
Yeah.
because of the students. Only because of the one-off opt of the summer. We're not gonna get that next year, maybe, is what I'm trying to say is, so.
Correct, that has
If we're
been taken out
budgeting
of the budget.
student to student, like we did last year, we always held that risk on our side.
And how is that compared to the year before? Like, is it just really a one-off, or is it a
In-
trend?
In transportation or in tuition?
Transportation.
I understand it as a one-off,
Okay.
that
What are we budgeting this year? Can you find that out?
I can.
Huh?
The upcoming budget?
Yeah.
I think we really need to work on this. And
I agree.
you
I don't have an
mentioned
answer.
the template.
I'm just.
yes, and I do, and I've shared it with Glenn, and maybe we need to maybe have a meeting and talk about it. I think in one sentence, the idea is that the Board of Education operating budget should use known placements only, supported by a quarterly student level pipeline forecast, which is reviewed by Board of Finance and Board of Ed to monitor emerging risks and maintain fiscal discipline. So basically the idea is that we don't, so even though we planned for 32, we're not, our numbers didn't match up, right?
I think and I'll have to go back, I mean, I believed at the time that there was an indication that there would be 32 students.
Yes.
There may have.
Oh, whoa, whoa,
Okay.
whoa, 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 we're
We
not,
agree.
no, there's no,
Okay.
no. We're all on the same page on that.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
But I
yes.
guess what you're saying is, you don't have 32, you have 29, but
Right.
you're still running to the edge. And if it wasn't for the
Right.
but transportation part of this, you'd be in the hole. And part of the argument or discussions, better word, that last year was, well, we want this money in and we're gonna control it and we're gonna do this and we're like, but we took all the risk. Now the risk is on you. You took all this risk, you wanted it, and now you may have, you would have had to come back if we didn't have the transportation.
I mean, I would love the
Savings.
special ed budget to have a contingency fund.
Which
But-
kind of was in the budget last year. But it was on your side.
If we wanna manage
It used to be on
tighter,
our side.
right? Okay, yeah, I mean,
In the past
It
years,
used to be
on our
huge,
side.
and then we cut it down, then we took it on our side, and we didn't quite give it all back last year, in fairness to them, we cut
We-
out,
we did,
we
we
did
did,
strip
yeah.
that out a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
But I think that we need to understand it more, and I tried to get that out at the board meeting, and then I got shut down about the understanding complexities of budgets. I don't know budgets and risks and everything, so we'll leave that for
So
another
I
day.
think the idea is to use probability and
Yes.
in
Yeah.
how we cannot go this blind, we cannot enter in this, every year we budget time, we're like, okay, we don't know what's going to happen, right? I think we gotta have some sort of,
I think we do, and I think we have to document assumptions, right, around this part of the budget. I mean, I hear the variability piece of it, and I think the biggest variable is that every student is a different cost,
Absolutely.
right? Like that is the,
Absolutely.
that's the struggle, so
right.
what is the best,
So tuition and
Method.
transportation, right, two different types of costs,
Yes.
right? So
more variability, I think, in
in
the
the
tuition.
transportation.
Oh,
Yeah, can I ask this question? It's maybe a dumb
Isn't it
question,
No, Go ahead.
but we had 32 students. We knew what their needs were.
we were
But they
into-
change.
no,
In
yeah,
fairness,
and-
they do change,
Yeah.
because,
That's my question.
no, they do,
Yes.
I know
Tuition
that.
is through the roof.
They could have a service that
Transportation.
they complete that service and
So
then
did we
they
bring-
drop down, or they
drop
could have
students
need
out
an
and take
extra
other students
service.
in that
Yeah.
were of higher needs?
So that's where the variability
But I don't think
comes
I really don't think that's the driver stuff. I think this.
Well, they're over on tuition and they
Okay,
have
so I'm
less
gonna say it
students.
again, when we had 32, there were a certain number that were doing this, tell me the name of it again, because my brain is.
Transition.
Yes,
transition.
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 Transition was a certain number of students, let's call it 13, and
Yeah.
tuition is low for those 13.
right, it's,
7 of those came out. So that little bit of tuition for each of those 7 went away.
Yeah.
We added an
Yes.
additional 2 or 3. Those were
At a higher cost.
needs at a much higher cost.
Yes.
Well, that's
So
what I'm saying.
the other 20 that didn't move, I don't think you're
Stayed
gonna
the
find a
same.
big change in cost for each
So-
of those individual 20.
So that's to my question. So we did drop kids out in transition.
And the-
We must
right.
have brought in students that were higher
Higher need,
need.
right.
Absolutely.
But the ones
And
that
that's
we knew
what found
about,
the
I think
tuition.
those costs are coming in roughly where we expected.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you.
and in fairness, what percent is 21,000 on $3.32 million?
No, you're right, it's a small
That's
number.
not.
Oh, no, I'm just,
No, I'm in agreement, however, we're only in January,
yeah,
so
Yeah.
we could go up. So if we go back to the first screen, so now I think we hashed this. What I think I would like to see is go up to that first page of the report. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but is when you have better and worse, I'd like to see prior month and prediction, like a column before that, like prior month,
okay,
where we stood, because that minus 280, is that a number that's changed every month?
right.
Is that gone from 260 to 280 and we're expecting it to go 300? On the other professional, was it 100 last month, it's 130 this month? Or was it 160 last month and it's trending downward to 130?
I
And
understand,
Every month.
anticipated?
yeah,
And the same thing without the positives. So the salary savings, leaves and vacancies is 380 to the positive. Was that
Today.
360?
Yeah.
No, was that 360 last month?
Right.
Or was it 400 and we brought in another
Go
position?
back to that chart.
And, and,
I
and we're
thought-
going through, because I think that's gonna tell the story
Yeah.
that
Of
would
where we're
help us
gonna land.
understand this number.
Right, now, the way this used to work, and I don't know if it still does, is the salary shortfall is a projected full-year salary shortfall versus everything we know, right, which we know salaries, right? So that
Mhm.
number tends to not change very much.
I agree.
The leaves and vacancies is only stuff we know, so that number tends to get better
Yes.
as time, so the 280 doesn't tend to get worse, and the 380 tends to get better as time goes on, because someone else leaves that we didn't know, we get
Yeah.
some savings from that. As I said,
Right.
better is kind of financially better, right? Someone leaving isn't better. So in
I
general,
have
all-
January's in front of me if you guys need it too.
okay, well, what do we?
What is January's?
If you just to compare, salary shortfall was 257,470.
So that's going the wrong way.
Right, yep, that works.
Other professional services was the same thing,
Okay.
130,000 worse. Legal fees was 86,525 worse. Pupil transportation was 60,173 worse. And then the bottom line was salary savings, 357,000
So that's
for the
growing.
better. Employee benefits were 31,000 for the better. There was no athletic transportation involved on the January one. And the VOAG tuition was 5619 versus this 5600.
Yeah,
So the salary shortfall, you should be able to predict, but maybe not the overtime. But your salary savings line, you should be able to predict by the number of open positions to the date you're filling the positions.
You
If
don't
a
know when
position
you're
is
gonna fill
open
them.
and you haven't
Yeah.
filled it, that's gonna continue to grow. If you have a start date for a position, that part of that, if you have 20 positions open, then if you hire 3 people, we're still gonna gain 17 positions going forward. So
And-
that number's gonna grow.
and we do have, a different report, the teacher turnover savings, that doesn't account for the administrative savings, I think, that go in this bucket as well. But there's a separate report on that too.
But I think for us, just to see it not have to dive into all of your numbers deep, is here, like I said, that 380 was 357. Is it gonna go to 410 next month, 417 next month? Or is it only gonna go to 410? But is that 410 now gonna go, instead of the 27,000 or whatever we go up, is only gonna go up 10,000 every month because we've hired positions and we're chewing that up? That's one we can predict.
But I think that this better, worse number is the projection to the end of the year. It's not as of today. I think it is projected
is.
to.
Based on known leaves and.
Well,
Based
then
on
it's
what we
not a
know
good
now, that's
number,
total
because
year
what
savings
happens
predicted?
if they
So
hire?
how do we know salary, so shortfall cannot be predicted, that's probably as of today, no?
Why don't I clarify?
Yeah, because if you
Yes.
do the salaries
Why
to
don't I
year end,
clarify?
Marcia, that means that number's gonna shrink.
Yeah.
If they hire somebody, if they have open, it
Yeah.
grew.
But if they know they're gonna hire someone, wouldn't they say, well, you know, this position is open now, but we're gonna fill it
I think we're gonna
after
fill
3
it.
weeks
That
of
that should be in
interviews?
there. What they don't know is if tomorrow somebody else resigns.
Correct.
Yeah, but why did it go from 357 to 380?
Somebody else resigned.
Are we sure?
Wouldn't that more
That's-
likely to
That's what it's
change
been for the last 2
towards the end of the
years.
year
Have
too?
they changed?
Sure.
If we have the schedule here,
Yeah, it would be good to see this. Okay, here it is for February. Is this your projection for the whole year?
I think you got the gist.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure the
took a
projection's
note.
not just year-to-date
Okay.
actuals.
So
This is the change.
here's what I'd also like to propose.
Can I just, one more before you do
Yeah,
that?
go ahead.
We just saw a prior chart that said special ed was better by 300,000,
Correct.
but that's not on here?
Right, I don't know
separate
why.
bucket, because
Yeah.
that's supposed to be ring fenced.
So
I was just
we're
gonna
not-
say, I don't, you're right, yes.
But don't we wanna see the totality of it, both special ed and other shortfalls and
Well,
gains?
yeah,
So
I
we
guess
know
the
what the
point,
whole
we told
picture
them,
is?
the
rather
view
than-
was they need to make this whole, actually, they're supposed to make the whole thing. They're not supposed to use benefits in special education to cover other issues.
Correct.
So the fact
I
that
think that
special.
is
Correct.
kind of,
So
Which-
that- so this is okay how it's
Which,
done.
I'll
Yeah,
say
yeah,
which
yeah,
one,
okay.
that's, yeah, they were not, that's
Okay.
not
Yeah.
indicated on
Right,
here,
okay.
yeah.
So in other words, even though this looks like it's over 100,000, we're not saying, oh, use some of that savings on special ed to cover that. We gotta figure out how to close that 100,000.
Correct.
Yep.
Yes, yes.
We're all seeing it.
All right, you understand. What I would like to suggest is Carolyn, you have a financial background and you understand it. Can you work with Nahid maybe on that template? The
Yeah,
two of you
I'd
get
love to.
together
So,
and
I think,
and talk it out? Because I think your knowledge of what you want to see and your knowledge of finance, I think you can come to something, but even bringing Marcia as well into this, if she has time, is your knowledge of finances, your knowledge of what you worked with the AI portion of this. I think it'd be better if you take that and come back to us and say,
Yeah,
hey,
sure.
we've looked at this. It may not be perfect, but
Yeah,
here's where
yeah.
we are
Or
now.
we see if it works,
Yeah.
can we make it work, yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, is that something you're willing to do with need?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
So, Casey did
I mean-
say that she doesn't have, we don't want names, we don't want
No.
any,
No.
I don't think
Yeah.
that's, yeah,
all we need is counts and
right,
the
counts and
placement.
risk,
the place, yeah, risk, exactly.
counts and risk.
You understand it totally?
Yes, yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I'm saying, between the two of you,
Yes.
if, you know, if you could try to figure, it may not be an answer, but if you could try and figure out something, it'd be
Absolutely.
appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously the area of the budget that gets the most questions, it's also the largest area of the budget.
And it's the
So-
most dynamic of
And,
it all.
right, and the most
So-
volatile.
And let's also understand, we're not trying to shirk any responsibility, we're gonna pay, we wanna pay, this is important, it's not a burden, it's what we wanna
Yeah.
do, but we just wanna get it right.
Yeah.
We wanna understand it to the components of how do we make better assumptions? How do we understand, the, like you say, the risks versus non-risks, and what do we have to do, that's all.
Mhm. Yep.
Brian, any more
Yeah,
questions?
well, one other thing that's more of a budget thing, and I wasn't at the tri-board. Everything we're talking about here is outplay special ed, right?
Yes, I believe so.
I think it is,
No.
right, 'cause
Yes,
it's
yes,
tui-
yes.
tuition and it's
Yeah,
transportation.
yeah,
So
yes.
there is a large piece of the budget that's also in-placed special ed. I
In-house.
never use the right word.
Which is, I think, that second part of, partially in that second.
Yes, the 130, I think that's in that 130 bucket,
professionals.
that's not outplaced, I don't know, I'm talking
I'm not
about.
hundred percent sure on that,
I'm
but
talking
So,
about
I
the
mean,
school.
because we do have a lot of resources on
We have-
in-place special ed, right?
absolutely.
And at some point, I think we should be looking at that, the two pieces in its entirety, because if we can, I think everyone, for the students' benefit, we say, oh, we should have as many people in-house as we can, because, you know, they don't have to sit on a bus for an hour and blah, 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 right? So, there could be, hopefully, we're executing strategies that enable more people to stay in, which would make the outplace look lower, but the other ones seem higher, and you gotta kinda look at the whole picture, cause if, you know, that number says, hey, we're spending 130,000 more, that might be a really good thing. Maybe one of the reasons why we're saving 300 on the other side is because we're spending 130 here. So getting that
I
whole
mean, I
picture
would love
at
that to
some
be
point-
true.
Yeah, so I bet it's not. But it would really be good at some point to have that whole picture. And about a year ago, I was working with, who's
Bill?
this? Yeah, Bill, but other things became more urgent, so I kind of backed off that a little bit.
And I agree, so when you look at the special education budget holistically, like all that goes into it, I think it's closer to like the $11-12 million mark,
Yeah.
right? So that is a significant portion of our entire Board of Ed budget. And I will tell you, you know, part of the Board of Ed's focus for the new super was someone experienced in creating in-house opportunities
Awesome.
for special education. I mean, obviously that's a long play.
No, it's, it's
but-
work in progress, we work towards it.
Yeah, I
But-
talked to Steve this morning about that.
Did you? Yeah, I mean, he's
Yeah.
really passionate about
This-
it, and
this- He has a lot of experience in that,
yes.
and that would be helpful. You know, the more we can keep in-house,
It has to
Of
come
course.
down to make sense for best for students and cost
E-
effective.
Exactly. I
Two
mean,
factors that has to come down, and we
Yeah.
gotta use some financial, you know, even it's education, you gotta use some financial value versus payout versus
Yeah.
the student gain.
ROI.
I mean, student
Yeah.
gain is,
Results.
student
Yeah.
gain is the
Yeah.
best,
that
I
should be
mean,
the driver.
but-
Student gain.
What's the best for the students?
but it's gotta be part of a financial question, if like Brian says, if we give $1 million, are we saving 2 million on the backside? And I don't have an answer, I don't even wanna venture an answer.
It's pretty, if you can get the right support of the student in-house, you see, you know, the transportation is just throwaway cost,
Yeah,
right? You're spending $100,000 student to send them someplace to get those services. If they can do it in home, you can spend what you were spending on a bus
So-
or whatever it is
You could
to
hire a
have better
teacher.
services
So I
here.
can
Yeah.
guarantee that is a very hot topic and a
okay.
If we had this,
I've
the
heard the same.
capability to provide services, absolutely, and that's what
Yeah.
it is.
And
It's a
again, I
really
mean,
big
it's
topic, yeah.
definitely a long-term plan, right?
Yeah.
And there's some things that we may be able to do sooner rather than later for in-house opportunities. And it is a very big
Right.
focus.
Well, a year ago, we,
So
there were some ideas on the table. I'd love to see if they progressed at all in the last year.
that would be a great question for Bill.
Yes.
Okay.
Next time I see Bill, I'll ask him. Because I told Bill I'd follow up with him and then.
Any other questions on a report here? Brian, do you have any questions on a report?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I'll speak to the budget process right now. How's that? Steve wrote a letter to the Board of Ed, explaining his concerns, and what he'd like to see. It also, we've talked to the Board of Ed, had something to do with, our Board of Finance had something to do with that as well. From my side, and this is Glenn only on the Board of Finance, it's a $58 million spend, and we're voting 4-3 one way, 3-4 the other way. It's a big number for the taxpayers. We don't necessarily know what the right number is, but if we go 3-4 and then rescind 4-3 and do things, how do we have confidence in the taxpayers' dollars that we're responsible for to put this budget even forward when the people that are the ones that's supposed to be overseeing this and doing line by lines of this really didn't come across in a confident consensus manner. Generally with this Board of Finance, even on budget, we have disagreements. I go low, Naheed says, no, we can't go that low. Brian says, well, we gotta be somewhere in the middle. Eileen says, no, we gotta go here. And then we sit here until 11 o'clock at night possibly, and we come up with a solution that a cooperative bunch of minds have come up with, and we put it forth to the town. And what we've seen in the meetings and what we've seen in the phone calls I'm getting is, man, they're all over the place. And how do we put confidence in $58 million of spend with this type of scenario? And I think Steve's letter, and I know I've heard, well, we don't understand it, I've got a phone call, what is he asking for? And
I've gotten calls.
no,
I talked
have.
to Caroline, I talked to a couple other Board of Ed members, and you hit it on the head. We're looking for the Board of Ed to bring a budget to us that we're confident is the budget you really need. I didn't get that feeling from the meeting. There seemed to be a lot of dissension.
And no listening. Either
So-
side, no
So
listening.
what we asked in the letter is a consensus. If you come back to us and say, the 481, that's the budget we think is right, I'm fine with that. If, whatever you come back with, and I think we just need to Glenn's point, to bring a budget forward to our residents. We know 1,500 to 1,800 people a year vote on the referendum, 12 to 15%, that's it. The vast majority of them are one voter, one way or the other, a lot of them.
Yes.
A yes, I'm gonna vote for the school's budget, I don't care if
I'm a
it's
no, no matter what
22%.
it is either, yes.
But there's a lot of no's too. So we're looking at that probably 400 to 600 people who actually pay attention, who are actually looking at this. And if we don't have a confidence level that it's the right budget, a lot of them might lean over to no. Whereas if they did have that confidence level, I think they would vote yes.
And I guess one of my disconnects
make
is,
sense?
yeah, it does. One of my disconnects is, and we had it at the tri-board meeting, the line by line, the line by line. But let's talk about the process. Steve wrote a letter and said, what does your 0.5% look like reduction? What is your 1%? And you're gonna say, gee, this. And then we're gonna vote, we're gonna take out those line items, basically. So basically, in a weird way, in a roundabout way, the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen we're seeing line by line, which, why isn't that done at your level and brought to us?
It may be getting done, but we didn't see it,
No,
right?
agreed.
Yeah, I mean,
They
it
did
was
have a
def-
chart, in fairness, there
I know
was the
they're going
chart.
through it. I
No,
know.
Steve, they did have a chart that they presented to us that had the scenarios. There was 4 scenarios where it went down. The problem is, those 4 scenarios were not consensually voted by the Board of Ed.
No,
They were,
And in fairness, the strategy, I guess, from the finance committee was to bring forward one scenario to the Board of Ed, right? We had the original super proposal, and then we worked behind the scenes in different scenarios, right? And then it was our intention to bring the one scenario, have discussion, and vote on it. So, and maybe that was a miss on my end, or on the finance committee, because we didn't present all 3 scenarios, right? And we came in with one, that was off from the original 3 we looked at. So, I mean, all of that was done at the committee level, but not, to your point, at the Board of Ed.
Yeah, maybe it should have been. I know at the Board of Selectmen that we sit there and we go line by line and say, okay, keep this in. I don't think we need that. Run through the entire budget and then look where it ends up. And if we say, man, it's 6%, that's too high, go back, reiterate, iterative, over and over again. We go through every single line
Yeah.
on all our budgets.
If there have to be.
You
there
may be
will-
doing that,
There
I
needs
just
to be
didn't see.
cuts made, and if you make the cuts, you're going to do a better job than us saying, hey,
Oh, 100%.
you know,
That's why
Yeah, we don't-
that's
Yeah.
why the committee came back with a 4.86 and
Yes.
not the 6% that the super originally. So I mean, I think we're
Also,
saying
I can
similar
remember in years
things.
past, and this is, you work smarter, not harder. I always agree with that mantra. But there was times we'd be watching the Board of Ed meeting at midnight, and they'd still be there at midnight hashing out the details. And in the past few years, that's gotten less and less. And that doesn't mean it's wrong or right, but when we go to a meeting and we have some people saying, well, we didn't know we had line-by-line items, and we have other people's having suggestions, it should have been like, here's the suggestions, in my opinion, let's discuss those like we do here, and okay, I don't agree with you, now we'll vote on that line item, and then you go forward. We're putting forth $58 million to the town, this is gonna be a big budget, we're getting bigger, we have so many projects, like we said, ahead of us. We have labor negotiations that Steve has to deal with that are not gonna be easy. These are gonna be extra costs to the town. Marcia and I and Steve have talked many times about, we do have to look at the salaries on the town side of the employees, because we have to see if we're paying fair to each position and what we're gonna do, and that may have a bump on our costs. So all these things are putting pressure, and we need help. And that's why we need you to make sure you're behind this, that we can sell it, because 4-3 one way and then 3-4 the other way, I'm getting phone calls like, why are we giving them anything?
In fairness, the vote for the budget was not reversed. It was a vote for a particular.
Item within the.
Yeah.
But the number went down with that line item. So you started at 4.8, you dropped out 100 and something thousand, so it went down to 4.6, then you put it back to 4.8 with the rescind vote.
So,
Your original vote was to remove 100 and something $1,000, was 4.3
No, it was-
passed.
So the original vote was around a position and didn't include the money, in which got things very confused, because the motion on the table was around the number for the budget.
So you're saying the number to the position had nothing to do with the overall total? We could have got rid of that position
No, we
and
can't.
still
You
kept
can't,
the total?
we couldn't have a motion for a position without a dollar associated with it.
But you're semanticizing with me, I think, and I don't understand it.
No,
so the way the motion was made is to eliminate the position, but they didn't include eliminating the money.
Okay, so that they made a motion to eliminate the $150,000 as a random number, they could have removed the $150,000.
Right.
Basically, if you vote to remove a position, you know the salary associated with that, so you're assuming the salary goes with it.
We do, on the town side, that's what we
No, you can't run the Board
do.
of Ed because they have all this bumping and you have
Right.
a lower salary.
Yeah.
Right, so the senior would bump down.
I'm not trying to argue semantics. I am saying, like, there wasn't a vote for the actual budget that got rescinded and then reversed. It was discussion and motions underneath that to
That's where the
amended
confusion came in, because on the
motions.
town side, if I eliminate a
Still would
position,
have
we
been a
moved,
reduction.
last year, we moved a position to part-time,
Yes.
right? That took the salary automatically down by half. It was part and parcel, on what you're saying on your side is because of the way it works, you can't just remove a position.
Right.
So you went back and re-voted and had a decision, position and money.
It still would have been money, though. At
It
some
still would
point,
have
there
been
would have been
money.
a savings. We still would have went
They
down.
might have wanted to keep the position, the money, and
Yeah,
lose the
okay.
position.
How much money do you need, too?
So,
Go ahead.
Go ahead,
no,
it's
go
Marcia's
ahead.
question, go ahead.
Can I ask you, does the Board of Ed get this? Because I don't get it as part of the finance
I
committee
am
stuff.
not gonna be honest.
Well, can you make that
This
bigger?
is, this is not yours, this is ours, and I've had it in the past, and Brian and I have both asked for it for this year, I think that's what you're asking for too, Brian.
I'm not
But
sure
there's
what this is.
budget workbooks that, like, it'll show
Oh.
art, we're gonna buy paint, we're gonna buy this, and it details every line out of what they're gonna spend. And I don't know, I always have to ask for it to get it, though I get finance committee stuff, this happens to be our part.
This is the
right?
line item budget that we're talking about.
The
That's what
line
it's-
item budget, not the total by object, and not what's in that budget book. It's Excel spreadsheets, there's like 8 of them. Does the Board of Ed get that to look at?
I can only speak for myself. I did not receive that.
I don't
So
think you do,
that-
and
that's
I
the-
think that was.
is actually what we're talking about. We're all
Okay.
talking about this,
I-
going in and looking at every line item and saying, does
Well,
this?
hold on.
Go ahead, because now I got a whole lot of questions.
So the
Thank you,
Board of
Nikki.
Ed doesn't see that
Now
line
you
item
have a
detail.
whole-
Hold on.
No, but
Okay, but hold on. does the finance subcommittee of the Board of Ed see that detail?
She's in finance.
I know, the answer
She's
is
the
no,
chair.
because I listened to all the I've watched
I
all
would
your
say
meetings,
they've
they're
all
great
been
meetings, I know the answer. You
recorded
don't,
this
you
year.
don't talk about that level of detail. So they're
But
not
But
doing
have
a
we,
line
have we
item
in the
review.
past, so I only know what we did this year.
Right.
I
You're
still
not,
did-
you're not on trial.
Yeah, yeah, no, please, yeah.
You know,
I
I'm
don't-
going to, I'm
I
going to
don't-
ask, I'm going, and I don't
Go
know.
ahead,
I'm just
speak
going
the
to-
floor.
On my behalf, I'm just going to ask that the whole thing with this is because unfortunately, Board of Ed, the collaboration, you know, there is this whole, we've all been talking about it, right?
Mhm.
And I'm not saying anything, but I'm just saying that, can we just go back to the budget collaboratively and look at it line item by line item and see, at the end of the day, we all know 4% is our thing. We just cannot, you know,
Mhm.
we cannot, it's not going to happen. So work on it line by line item. It's going to, you guys know the best what the students need, right? Once you go to that level, you will really be able to see the budget and say, okay, this, right?
In fairness to what Naheed is saying, Naheed was new last year, and we, the senior people, sort of actually did gloss over some of the numbers, me and Eileen, because we've seen them, and Naheed would say, wait a minute, let's go back, and I'd be like, Naheed, and she'd, no, we're gonna go line by line, and we're gonna do this, and we agreed to go line by line, and that's why she's championing this, because she championed it at our level last year. Like if there was a bucket that said $1,200, and we were like, yeah, it's 12. She says, no, I want to see what's in that $1,200. Show me the 3 items that are in that $1,200. And painstakingly, some of us are like, okay, but she was right. And then she found a few buckets that, even though it was not a lot, there was a few
Yeah.
buckets that
Yeah.
yielded results. And I think that's what she's preaching is something she preached to us as a group last year. So this isn't something on the Board of Ed. This is what she preached to the Board of Finance last year.
Especially when you're newer,
No, she
it
absolutely
helps
was right.
to
It'll help
do
you, it
that.
helped me
Yeah.
a lot, because it
Yeah.
helps me understand. And also, it's like year over year, what's changing? Why is it changing? Like you said, student enrollment does not make, but when we run businesses, we're looking at our business and we're looking at these numbers and saying, you know, we should be able to build attrition level, you know,
Mhm.
it's something that, I don't know, that's something that we've been working with all our lives, so.
I think one of the things that changed too, that I've asked a lot of questions to people. So when you went from your 23-24 budget process, two people on your administrator side had annuities. When we went to the 24-25 budget process, everybody got an annuity on that administrator page. And yet nobody raised their hand and said, we made this change. Nobody said, we went from only having 2 to 20. But yet we get told the pressures of, we don't have enough money for special ed, we don't have enough, but you didn't raise the flag saying, oh, by the way, we inserted $30,000 worth of extra annuities without raising a flag. Now, that doesn't mean those annuities are wrong. That doesn't mean those annuities weren't contractual. That doesn't mean they needed these annuities. But I think even Naheed's saying, in our business world, when people make changes like that, they just don't hide it in plain sight. They raise their hand and say,
Isn't there a
hey.
process for changes though, financial changes?
No, we didn't have it, that just comes to us. So they presented us a budget that was status quo, but they added in a bunch of annuities. Now, again, I'm not saying those annuities are wrong, please don't take it. But
Into the status quo.
into the status quo. And what I'm trying to say is, when in our business worlds, whenever you make a change like that, you flag it up. Now, if it's for the right reason, the flag gets removed right away, perfect, we knew about it, it's all good, we understand why. We don't have to even understand why, maybe on your side.
Mhm.
But the fact is, when I asked for a certain contract, I didn't get it. I started to do deep dive analysis, and I found all these things, and I was like, I didn't know about it. I asked Marcia, did she know about it? She said, I didn't know about it. I asked Steve, did you know about it? He didn't know about it. I went to Bob Belden, he says, I didn't know about it. And I'm saying, here are the senior members of the town that have been involved a long time, and we didn't know about it, and it was in the budget, because we assumed the trust factor that status quo was status quo, we wouldn't have to dive into salary line items. And no, am I speaking wrong, Steve, or no? You can.
No, you know, on the town side, if we're making a big change in the budget, let's say even within a department, if we're moving money from one line item to another, the Board of Selectmen has to approve that. That then is tracked, so every one of these guys can see it
Yeah. I
Steve
thought
calls
that-
me sometimes, says, Glenn, I'm moving $3,000. I'm like,
I've
Steve, it's
asked.
$3,000.
I mean, I've asked what the transfer process was, and they first.
This wasn't a transfer.
It wasn't
This
a
was a
We don't know where the money
budget to
came
budget
from.
the next year. So the budget was, the prior year budget had only 2 positions that had annuities. They had the longevity bonuses, but only 2 had annuities. I don't even know what the annuities are, so I can't speak to that. Then the next year, when I looked at the year-on-year comparisons, all of a sudden, all these annuities popped up. And it's like, okay, not that it's our business, but nobody raised the flag, and then we sit in these meetings and get told, we don't have enough money for this, we don't have enough money for that, but yet we had enough money to add in these annuities. Now, they could be correct, and they could be perfectly contractual, but the fact is, it's that transparency, and we don't see it. And at our levels, we don't want to go line by line through everything. Salary line should be a solid line. It shouldn't be something we have to dive into to analyze. Salaries are salaries are salaries, and if you make a change, it should be noted.
See, on our budgets, we'll show up to 22 years of budgets.
Mhm.
So in salaries, you can literally see the salary from year to year to year. What we're seeing.
They're showing it, but they didn't tell us that they
Yeah.
changed it. That's all.
Well, but the new budgets show a status quo that includes those annuities
Right.
that weren't in the previous year's budget.
Correct.
So somewhere within the year, these were added,
At the
right?
beginning of the year, probably.
And now you have a new starting point. But it's not the starting point you ended.
Yeah.
And one thing that's helpful we have on our side is left column. Here was a budget last year. Here's 2.5% increase. Here's extra hours. Here's police steps. Here's a change in personnel. Here's the budget this year. And just reconciling if the board wants to know, oh, did someone get an extra raise? Just look at this report, look at the bottom, and you can tell them no one got an extra raise. But what we were talking about before, this is a copy of the facilities budget workbook from an old year, and we've asked for it for this year. And this happens to be other professional services, and it shows of that 68,000, what is included in that. And I don't know how anyone can review the budget without reviewing the detail. And I mean, you can't just look at that, oh, that total looks about right, 68.7, but if you had this, oh, I didn't realize that lock and key services
Yeah.
cost that much, and you can compare it to what did we actually pay.
Especially if it went up significantly, on the right side, you would see on ours, went up because of X reason.
And well, this year, let me just show you that,
We gotta stop though. She's gotta leave at 8.
Yeah.
I know she's got a hard stop at 8. You're
we
2
added
minutes to
to
go.
it prior year and current year, so it's side by side, they can see line
Is
by
this,
line.
I mean,
what
I'm
went up.
assuming this is a template that the whole town uses, right?
Yes.
Every department.
Okay.
Every
Not the-
single
Not the
department.
education.
But they have
But
it,
it's
but
very easy
they don't
to
share it.
just,
Oh.
so
It's-
you could just take
I'm
your last
assuming
3 years'
it-
budget
Yeah.
and put it together, and you'd have 3 years of data, line by line, to help you see past 3 years. I'm happy to.
And we've all done this. The first year you look at this, like Naheed will look at the first year and she'll have a lot of questions on all the lines. What is this? But then you've got that comfort level when you look at next year's and it's going up by 3%. You say, we understand what this is fixing lots. And it went up 4%. Okay, I'm good with that. And then you're looking at the big changes, up and down.
Yeah.
Why did that change?
40%
There's usually
increase.
very good reason.
15% increase.
Yeah.
Why did it increase 15%? And then you question, and then you know, sometimes it'll be, you know, a perfect answer, and you're like, okay, makes sense, and then sometimes you're like,
You got the gist.
I know.
It's $58 million, and we're responsible to make sure we do our checks and balances. Trust and verify.
Well, I mean, at the committee last night, I mean, the letter was good timing. We had our committee meeting last
Thank you.
evening. So, you know, we were.
I have to say, just if I can,
Yeah.
the board members and Steve, the new superintendent I've spoken to, are all positive about this. And they mostly had questions, what are you really looking for? One person asked me, do you want me to go back to December? I said, no, you have an adopted budget. Take that adopted budget and show us what half down, one down, and half up looks like. What would you make changes,
Mhm.
right? And why? Right?
But we gotta get more than a 4-3 agreement. We gotta find something
I
that
know.
fits.
I don't know. I mean,
That's leadership. That's leadership.
No, you know,
You're
it's
gonna
not gonna
try
be easy
to.
for you guys to go back and to do what we do right now. But if we can just get a stronger feeling that the budget that Board of Ed has given us is the right one, goes a long way.
And someone said to me the other day that it didn't have everything that they were looking for, and no budget is perfect.
Right.
So my message here is that nothing's going to be perfect, but you work as a team and accept that, you know, we need to see that happening from Board of Ed's side. We really need that commitment and that feeling that you guys are behind it, because then we all are behind it. It's our
I mean,
town.
I've said it a million times, and I think he's listening on YouTube. I mean, having the leader and going through this budget season without a leader, right? A district leader,
Yeah.
right? We are leaders on the
Yes,
Board of Ed,
yeah.
but without a district leader was very difficult. I mean,
Totally
I
understand,
give
yeah.
our administration credit, right, for all the work that they did behind the scenes, but I
Yeah,
mean,
and
it
they
is
did
a
well.
somewhat unique situation, I think, to
Yeah.
go through that.
You gotta
And
go.
then credit to you
You
guys.
gotta go.
Credit
We're
to
not
you
throwing
guys.
you out, but you
Yes,
gotta go.
Yes.
We're not throwing you
There's a lot
out.
of interesting stuff. I only have 20 items to go.
You gotta go. Thank you.
Exciting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Please plan on coming back if you want to.
Maybe.
I ain't doing
Thank you.
So, I mean, just to recap though, I mean, I took actions on this front report page, right? We wanna see the trend versus.
Make it make
versus
sense
a-
that you would make
versus
sense
a-
of it. Do it your way.
a
You know how,
static
you
number.
know,
Yeah,
make it make sense where you know what we're looking for. Okay?
and then and the other one I had just, you know, the in-house ideas on special ed. I mean, I think that that's a
I think
good.
you guys would want that.
I was gonna say, that's a
Yeah.
good topic to bring back
Yeah.
to the board, actually,
Right.
right, when we're starting down this journey of looking at what that whole strategy
And
looks
the other
like.
action item is you and Naheed maybe figure
Yes.
out a template that we can
Yes.
I
figure
didn't
out
write that
something.
down, but I'm
Yes,
committed to that.
yes, yes.
And get the budget
Wh-
work
Whenever you
for
have
everybody.
time, I'm happy to sit down, yes.
Okay.
Get the budget
You're
work
okay
books
with
for
me,
everybody.
right?
I
I
can
mean,
send
I'm
you.
okay.
Love it.
Okay.
John,
Are you
that's
there?
it.
I don't know how you're gonna do it without it.
No, I'm not actually doing it.
Yeah.
I kind of started, I wanted to do more AI, so I was like, I'm
This
gonna
is a
try
good
to.
spot for it.
this is
That's
a
what
good
I'm
spot.
saying. So
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we're all in agreement,
Yeah.
right? Then Naheed can do this and perfect. All right.
Yeah,
Okay,
All right. Thank you.
all right, thank you guys.
thank you.
I'll be back.
We're glad to have you on board.
Actually, a
you.
breath of fresh air. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. All right, Steve, your ball now.
Okay, one of the issues we're having is there is a shortage of salt across the northeast for some reason.
You know what?
Snow.
My neighbor ordered salt and it hasn't been delivered yet. Funny you say that.
Snow.
We've been able to locate a source for salt, but it's up $40 a ton
Oh, my God.
from 85.
Oh, supply and
We
demand.
have to have it, so we bought 20 tons. I personally think there's some kind of cabal going on here, but we have to have the salt, we have to, so we'll do what we have to do. There was a sewer line break day before yesterday on Federal Road up by Four Corners. WPCA got on it immediately. The difficulty was this is a force main. That means it's under pressure. It's not just gravity flow. Luckily, it was frozen, so it was coming out slowly. It would have been a much bigger problem if we think it broke because of the cold, even that far down. We got it fixed, we got it cleaned up. The contractor's coming in next week to replace 15 feet of the pipe. If the weather holds next week, they'll get it fixed. So they jumped on it right away. I don't know if you heard that there was a sprinkler break in one of the apartment buildings. Half the building was evacuated because of the sprinkler break. We were able to put them up at the senior center. It happened in the middle of the night. We took 27 families, got them here to the senior center, opened it up, gave them a cup of coffee. Luckily, interestingly, they all had renter's insurance, so that will pay for hotels and things like that. There are cases where if they don't have renter's insurance, we're on the hook to put them up. as a town, so that worked out pretty well. They may be displaced for a while. It was quite a mess. You know, these sprinklers operated at very high pressure, and it went for about 20 minutes. And in the freezing cold Saturday night. We have applied for intervenor status with the cell tower, with the siting council. They will take it up at their next meeting. I'm confident they will grant us intervenor status because it's our residents.
What is intervenor status?
It gives you a little more say and a little more time and a little more ability to interact with the siting council rather than just getting your 3 minutes during your hearing via Zoom. We will be making an argument to them about the cell tower. It gets into the legal, so if you want to discuss it, we would have to do that.
Do you have it under control?
Yeah, I have it under control.
Okay.
Okay. We have been awarded, I found out this afternoon that next week Westcott is going to award us the grant to do the town hall campus.
Oh, great.
As part of that, we did a 30% design, which we've already funded. It doesn't pay for design, so we'll probably need about another 40,000. I'm gonna be adjusting our budget to add that in so that we have that funding.
We have it in the budget. I think the question on the email today was a change order question, but we have it in the budget because we put in the 14.8 and then we had to amend it the next meeting to 117.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we'll keep you up to date on that, but that's good. That's our third go at that, and we finally got approved. We have signed the contract with the community center architect, Silver Petrocelli. It was significantly less than the next one. They were a very good presenter, in my opinion. I was at the meeting. Carl was there, Bob was there. There were a lot of people there when all these companies, all good companies, but Silver Petrocelli, they're gonna do a good job for us. We talked about the letter that I sent to the Board of Ed chairman, and he called me about it. A couple other Board of Ed members called me about it. The conversations were good ones, they were positive. And I reiterated to them, we can't tell you what to do and what to submit, but we would like a higher comfort level with the numbers. And if 4.8, whatever is the budget that you're comfortable with, come back to us and just tell us why, right? We're setting up a 250th anniversary committee meeting. We're gonna make it a working group, so it's a little, because we only have 5 months. If we set up a committee, then you gotta do appointments, and then people job, and agendas, and meetings. And we're asking a bunch of groups, about 12 of them in town, to come to that meeting, the Boy Scouts, the VFW. What do you want to do to celebrate our 250th anniversary, right? And in the budget, I'm gonna put a little money in there, a request to support those things. I think it would be a lot of fun if we could do that. One person said fireworks. Well, everybody's happy about fireworks. Fireworks are not cheap, but we'll see. We don't want to dampen the enthusiasm.
But it's 250th, so.
Right? There was some issues with the sidewalks getting cleared. It hasn't really snowed a ton in the last couple of years. When we did the original ordinances for rezoning the town center and along Federal Road, it included that the owners of the properties abutting the sidewalk are responsible for clearing those sidewalks within 24 hours of the end of the storm. In about 6 cases, that didn't happen. We chased those owners pretty hard, and got to the point where a couple of them, we said to them, if you don't do this, we are gonna clear it, and we're gonna send you the bill for it. You have to do this within 24 hours. And I think, it's not that they didn't wanna do it, but I think a lot of them just didn't know, forgot, right? And so, I know we've gotten a lot of concerns and complaints about that, which is understandable. These have to be clear for people. We don't want people walking in the street, like around the BP, to get to the Shell station. No, it's unacceptable. So, we're gonna continue to follow up on that. We are putting forth a proposal to possibly purchase a piece of property, as we've discussed. Planning and zoning was supposed to meet last night to give us an 824 referral. They had the wrong Zoom location. They were doing it by Zoom, so they had to cancel their meeting because you have to publish the right Zoom residents want to join. They're gonna have a meeting next week, and then hopefully the Board of Selectmen will take that up. For all of you who really wanna know about it, we are, my budget will be finished by Friday. Marcia and I are sitting down tomorrow. We are about 95% complete. We will have it to you Friday.
No, you gotta go to your selectmen, right? Or your budget comes to us, I apologize.
My budget goes to
Yes, I apologize.
the Board of Selectmen by
Yeah,
Friday.
Yeah.
I will send you copies of that,
Yeah.
so you have it. The Board of Selectmen will start discussions on that next Tuesday. Tuesday, Wednesday, we have set for 4 hours, and the 24th if needed. I don't think we'll need that much time, but you never know. We set those all up. And as soon as we're finished, we're gonna get it to you. So it could go from the Board of Selectmen to the Board of Finance as early as next Wednesday night or Thursday. Probably Thursday, because we want a day to look at it. That'll give you guys plenty of time to look at it. If we don't get any suggestions from the Board of Ed, right, as to their budget, I'm gonna pass their budget as they've requested it. Right, and if we get suggestions from them, whatever, then we can make adjustments.
Why would you say that now? Like, we just talked about a vote of confidence in them and coming back, so why would you just say, we're gonna pass it anyway, to the point of, why would they go back to work right now?
Because.
What's the push for them to go back to the table now, if you just said you're gonna pass it as is anyway?
Because it's gonna come to you guys and me as a member of the Board of Finance. I have to have my budget to you by Tuesday, to the Board of Selectmen by Tuesday.
But you can make cuts.
I could.
You could say, hey, I don't think this is gonna go, I really think the number should be 4.1, or whatever you think, like, from our experience, and that would put pressure on them to get their act together by the time it comes to us. Because now, we go through this process, it comes to us, and now we're gonna sit here, and I think Naheed pretty much said it, when it comes to us, it may not look as good as it could look, type
No,
of
it
thing.
might not.
So why would we, and this has been one of my pet peeves,
I understand it,
is
but if
why
I
do
don't
we
have
have
further
to be the
information,
person?
right?
But they should have had it to us. This is on them. Steve, we can't coddle them and I'm sorry.
I'm not comfortable making a cut just to make a cut. I'm not. I didn't see anything in the budget they sent us that would say to me, ooh, this is wrong. I just don't know. And given that we had the meeting on the 14th and we requested this, even if we requested it the next day on the 15th, I don't think they would have had time to get their finance committee group together and then their Board of Ed together to discuss it and get it back to us.
I think they'll come.
Now,
in-
remember, the Board of Selectmen gets a look at this too. Now, hopefully, if we think if they come back to us and say, we're gonna get it, we have to have it to you by March 2nd, right? Right, we may wait to ship it to the Board of Finance to see what the Board of Ed comes back with. Because I don't think it's fair to just dump this whole thing on the Board of Finance and say, oh, well, we just had to get it. So hopefully they will come back to the Board of Selectmen, and then we'll have a 3-person discussion as to what the budget should be for the Board of Ed.
But that's why you put that date in the letter, was
Yeah.
so that the Board of Selectmen would have time.
Right.
I have a question. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we do.
The new superintendent reviewed the budget and agreed to it, or has he had enough time? Because I know he just started, and I don't know if that would have been
He hasn't
a
started.
great task to have tasked him with, because you have had an outgoing superintendent create this budget, interim outgoing superintendent, and then you've got new guy.
My understanding is he was at the subcommittee meeting, they went through a few of the processes. I think they've come to some agreements on moving something here, moving something there. A couple of the pieces, I think he came back from my understanding and said, I really haven't had enough time to even make a judgment on that item.
That's correct.
So he's trying to grab some time, he's
He's trying to
actually
get up to
utilize,
speed so
yeah,
fast.
I'm using bad words here and I apologize. He's trying to get more information on it.
Yeah.
And it's all, but it comes down to too is, where are we gonna land and how are we gonna handle the forward? I mean, we can't land at 5% overall as a budget to pass through with grand list increases that we're chewing up into operating. We gotta control the costs. the expenditure line.
I think it would
I've heard
behoove
that
them,
before from somewhere.
Steve, to make sure that, I know what you said, like, you couldn't see anything, but I think it would behoove them to try really hard to look at it again really, really carefully, because what, I didn't wanna keep Caroline here, but
No, she's
it
gone.
really, I know, that's why I said, I didn't wanna mention it and I didn't wanna talk while she was here, because she had this hard stop, but it's very concerning to me that it has been for the last 2 years-ish, where there really hasn't, it's been a very divided vote. But, you know, we had a superintendent who had been through the school system in a long time, then now you had an interim, now you have a new, and I feel like it really should go back, even though they had to have it in by the date, and you have to have it to us. I, as a Board of Finance member, and I agree with Glenn, I don't love that it's always, you know, like it's gonna get dumped on us, but I really think it would be smart for them to go through everything and really, really look at this. They can always come back while the Board of Finance is looking at it and say, hey, you know what? We may not need this, we may not need that. That shows better. Even if they're not voting on it, just coming to the table with suggestions and changes because they actually looked. I was not feeling confident at the tri-board meeting.
I think you put that very well. I think a lot of people have the same feeling, including me.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay. All right, Steve, continue on, please.
Yes. That's it for
All right, thank you. Any questions for Steve? Brian?
I didn't, when you said you had 20 items, I thought you were joking, so you weren't.
Most of it was good, not gonna lie.
We're good at this.
Yeah. All right, John, you have any questions of Steve?
No.
Marcia, or you don't have any questions of Steve? I know, I apologize. Naheed?
No, thank
All
you.
right. Marcia, it's your ball now.
I have 107 items. And, first one, the most important.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Wow.
Someone's
Uh,
tired.
John, I haven't had to have the flight back from Tahiti, so I don't know. John Lucas is watching remotely while he's dealing with a roof leak. And, I'll go quickly. Revenues and expenditures, one slide, no issues. No known issues.
I agree.
Salt might be an issue, that's not here.
Yeah.
The bonded and cash capital, no issues.
I got one point I want to make on that, but I would prefer Steve was here, but it's okay. Can you bring up you don't really have to, but if you could bring up the bonded chart, can you do that?
Bonded capital,
report.
yes, I can, I have to get out of here, sorry. Alright,
If not, I can just, rather than just talk.
No,
It's
she's
not
bringing
that
it up
big-
now.
It's
We might
not
as well
that
go
big
to
a
it.
deal,
We
just.
might as well just go through it now, she's got it.
alright, hold on. Browse. Yeah, oh, and I don't have a mouse because I have to use all my things here. There we go.
See, she was waiting for Steve.
Thank you. So, yes, I want you to hear this too, Steve. No, this is.
The other bonded.
The
Well, the bonded report.
report that that sent out in support of this meeting, this year's budget report.
Oh, I have that up already.
So I see that you did stuff for some.
I did.
She just,
I'm just gonna make a kind of supportive point to stuff that's been going on in my absence.
I apologize that my mouse had to be unplugged so I could get all the rest of this plugged in. That is not
Too
bonded.
small.
Okay, bonded.
So, just go to page 2 of it. I just want to make the point. So, we got a correspondence basically talking about the VHS bathrooms being a mess, right?
Yes.
So when I saw that, I actually asked Stephanie Sikora, who's the Board of Ed rep on the Capital Committee, to see if she thought that we should change priorities and stuff and put more money in for bathrooms, you know, if that's something that's important. But then I remembered to look, that we had something, and if you look, in 2025, so not this year's budget, last year's budget, we put in $165,000 to renovate bathrooms in the high school, and only $40,000 has been spent. That's not this current year's budget, that's a year ago's budget, right? So this is not a money problem, right? There's $120,000 sitting there to be spent to fix bathrooms that has not been spent and is not encumbered. So to that point, as I think about it, I'm gonna get first back to what Glenn said at the tri-board meeting, if I said it right, is that maybe having town and education share some facilities type people might give them more resource to go work on this stuff. I'm guessing that when CLS started going and we kind of stopped spending money on the other two schools, that we lost some capability to actually execute this stuff. Steve, you made the exact same point at the Board of Selectmen meeting yesterday, that's why I just wanted you in the room, so.
And you
The
and I agree
data
with this.
supports very clearly that this is not a money problem, this is an execution problem.
Right.
And we gotta do something to start executing, because if we executed really well, those bathrooms would have been fixed a year ago.
Yes.
Yeah, and we see,
Wait, Isn't one member on the board of facilities? Don't they have like a facilities?
they have a facilities manager, Dan Caldwell. He has been out on sick leave for a good bit. He's gonna be out a good bit longer. But
No,
this is a
but-
problem that is overarching. I remember a
Right.
couple months ago, you had said to the schools, hey, you had this for 3 years.
That was roof money. Right,
Roof
yeah,
money,
right, now
roof
it's
money.
this, so.
Yes.
And again, I'm not blaming anybody, I think that there is a lack of capacity to do this
I
stuff.
agree with you
And
100%.
Glenn came up with an interesting idea on how to get more capacity by combining joint resources. I think it's a good idea to look at. You brought it up again at the Board of Selectmen. I'm just trying to show you, it's not a money problem.
No, it's not a
It's
money
not a
problem at
It's
all.
an execution problem. We gotta
And
get.
as a matter of fact, we have Greg Dembowski from the town side
Right.
managing the solar project for exactly that reason, because we need to get it done quickly.
But execution comes down to leadership, comes down to understanding the process. And that's I think even in this whole budget process where I'm struggling with the school budget is it a money problem or is it a leadership problem? And leadership oversight to the point of we're missing things like this, do they need help, whatever they need. Because if you really break it down, this Board of Finance has funded the Board of Ed more than any town in the DERG over the last 5 years. We have, the data shows of all our people in the DERG, we have supported the school systems with more money than any town. By far, we're at the top of the list, at the top of the list, at the top of the list. Is a lot of these issues money issues, or is it a financial oversight issue? Why is there bathroom problems when we gave money? Now, is there more bathroom problems than the money we allotted? What is the issue with the bathrooms? But that money's been there for 2 years now, right?
It's not spent, right. There's
Not
more issues,
spent,
but if that
and
was all
there's-
spent and they needed more, that's a different issue. That's not the
But
issue.
we have a problem. Where is the oversight? Where is the leadership? It can't come from us. It can't come from you. But where is it gonna come from? And that's the whole thing with this budget process. We sit in these meetings and there is no consensus, no group. Like we sit here, we discuss this, and it's a problem. And I know, you can sit there and say it's not a problem, Steve. This is a problem.
Oh, it-
And money is not a
I
problem.
think-
It's a problem.
I think it's very complex, and to their credit, Board of Ed, I think the past few years have been tumultuous in what I hear in the public opinion and the finger pointing and the divided votes and I think they're not working together
Correct.
is the and I wish we could, I don't know how to change that, but that needs to change because
But we
that,
can't throw money foolishly after that,
No.
like you say, a bathroom problem, is there, the money's there, and I'm not saying, but this is where I'm getting lost in this process, and
So
this is where
I
I'm
think
falling
part
down.
of it is, if you remember, we approved the Board of Ed's 10-year capital plan for improvement. That is throwing a lot of projects into the mix here,
and,
right?
Yes,
and the
not
money's being,
one-offs,
and the money's
a
being.
bunch of
yeah.
them, and we just don't have the capacity.
So-
I think
Excellent.
Brian is right.
Yeah.
And maybe we need to hire somebody. Maybe we get a joint person, right, that, combine project management. right? And have somebody.
But adding bodies to.
Can we send
to-
this question up to them and say, what is preventing
How
them
about just
from
accountability?
executing?
How about just simple accountability, old
Maybe to
school?
Nahid's question, we go
Right.
back to the Board of Ed and say, we're very concerned about these capital projects. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Brianna.
This bathroom project
Remember-
itself.
Remember when we did the VHS locker room and Joy was on the facilities committee and she would report, about the project and come to the Board of Finance with the project because we were trying to get it funded and all that. I could have sworn that there used to be there was always someone on the Board of Education that managed, they were the facilities, kind of we have our
Yes.
back and we have this cap and we have that.
Absolutely, they still do. They do have
Okay,
it. I
so-
think last year.
So my thought process is, and Brian, tell me if I'm wrong on this, but if the facilities is in charge of getting, the things that we're funding and approved in the budget, they're aware of and they kind of manage it / know it, there should be the Board of Education who's ever in charge of this, maybe that person needs to start monthly saying, hey, we have this money, we need to put this in, or hey, I just remember that it used to go that way, where they would come to us and that would be, they had the whole presentation. And I just feel like that's not happening anymore. I didn't know if that facilities portion of COE just kind of got disbanded.
But on that, I think they came back to us because they wanted more money, and then the
And they
design
stopped.
changed, and then they're taking out the weight room, then they're adding this, and then they're adding a door.
Locker room had a
But
lot of
to
moving
Brian's
pieces.
A lot
Brian's
of
point,
moving pieces.
if there's $165,000 that we funded and you used 40 of it, there's 125.
Such a good
Is it
catch.
that the job is over? Have you not gone and got quotes? Because that's just get it done. You have the money, go get it quoted and get it done.
How
So
would we handle it on the town side? I'm
A
sorry.
follow-up process then?
Yeah, how would we handle it on the town side?
In most projects, we have Greg Dembowski, who does all the streetscapes, and he's doing the town hall campus, right? He's doing the solar project. He is he's full up.
But it's how we handle it is we meet quarterly with them.
That's what I'm saying.
And we go through each
On
project.
every
where do
project,
you
where are we?
stand?
Are we moving? Are we getting the bids out? Or the RFPs? What's the status?
So,
We could ask the MDC to step in.
Oh, let's just go
Why
back
are
to
we funding
basic
things that they're not
accountability.
gonna
Cleaning,
I
you know,
agree
doing
with- I
bathrooms, so we
agree with
need to get
Glenn
the
here.
MDC involved
we
in
are
bathrooms.
accountable for the financial piece of it, Board of Ed is accountable for the education piece of it. I think they should come to our meeting every month and come with these three things, and one of them being capital.
That's a good idea.
These are the current projects, they have been funded, this is the progress,
Yeah,
I
we're out
guess
to
we
RFP, whatever.
But what
Yes,
scares me
yes.
is again, when I look at this is, when you assess you have a bad roof on your house and we give you money to fix it, you wait 2 years to fix it, the
Yeah.
roof only gets worse. If you had the problem originally enough to come for $160,000, you had a problem. That wasn't a $16,000 fix, a $16,000 Band-Aid. It was substantial money. If this was your house and you had a roof that needed substantial work, the longer we wait, the pay me now, pay me later Midas slogan comes into play. Where is the accountability? And I guess this is where I'm losing it on the whole scope of this 58 million. We've lost some of this accountability. We've lost some of this consensus of working towards a goal. And I get the goal is education, and I understand that, and I appreciate that, but there's also a financial responsibility on the backside of that. And if they have a tough job, I'm not gonna say they don't have a tough job. But if there's a problem and we're not managing it, why aren't we managing it? Who's responsible? Where in the job titles does facilities and financial roll up to? Where does that come to? Whose job is that?
We seem to have a disconnect here somewhere.
Well, whose job is that? Financial,
Well, that's a good
financial
question.
and facilities. I believe there's probably a job description out there that says that. I'm sure there is. If you ask the Board of Ed for job descriptions for TSO, I bet there'll be a description that says financial and facilities.
So who on the Board of Ed is that goes to that meeting? Do we know who that is?
I do.
I think we should
I
start
think
there.
Stephanie is on the committee, Because she, when we were taught capital, she seems to know, but I don't know who the chairman is.
How much capital are they coming to for us this year?
You gotta think anyway. Well, with the roof,
Rough.
it's gonna be 3.
4
Hold
million?
on, I'll tell you a second.
I would go back and audit every capital,
Job and see what they're, how
exactly
the, what
what
the
the
progress
status is, now that we know the bathrooms, and it,
That's what this-
truthfully
That's
speaking,
what
our,
this, that's what this report is that we get every month.
Yeah.
He share one with it.
But we don't know the status behind it. You get a.
No, but
report
there's
with
no
numbers.
there's no encumbrances, it hasn't
Right.
moved in 6 months, nothing's happened.
Right, so I
Right, so-
agree with that's the report we get, but
But
that,
Nothing's
we're
happened.
not-
You know,
we
you
should've-
know the answer, is kind
yeah,
of what
yeah,
nothing's
yeah,
happening.
yeah. So I guess the question is then why isn't it moving, and that's the,
Right,
We
but,
really
but,
did.
and it's, to Glenn's point of accountability, the Board of Ed is, I don't think they're accountable to us.
they're not,
No,
absolutely not to
So
us.
having them
No.
come into our meeting,
They're not accountable
they're
to
not
us.
accountable to us, so. it'd
But
be-
we give them the money from the taxpayers to say, here's the money.
Absolutely, Right.
So we're accountable for the milk that they gotta drink to live at the table, we're accountable for it. If we're leaving money on the table, that's shame on us.
If we're giving them money that they don't need.
That's shame on us.
Right, but I mean, I think it's no question they need it,
Yeah.
but they're just
Yeah.
not spending
no,
it.
but
That's
if
gotta
it's
use
not
it.
being
Steve,
used at the
those
right
quarterly
time, it's not
meetings,
benefiting the
We
students.
probably need to talk to the new superintendent and say they can't skip them, they've got to show up. I don't know that they're accountable to us, but
They're not accountable to anybody. That's the issue, they're accountable to their Board of Ed. And that's where we're having issues.
No, but isn't, at the end of the day, this is one town, one pot that's going to help the town grow. We have to work together. I don't know what accountability, we're all accountable to the town, to the people.
I think we've recognized the problem here. I think we need to talk to the Board of Ed and say, hey, on your capital projects, where are you now? Where do you plan to move forward? What are your friction points? And how can we help you?
That's
But
it.
who's we? Is it the Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen, is it the capital committee?
First selectman to start
So
with.
you're gonna start it, okay.
Yeah,
And if you
I'll
need
do
to,
that. I'm as frustrated as anybody
no, I'm
else.
sure,
When I
if
get
you
calls
wanna,
about bathrooms,
offer
right.
the capital committee's involvement to help them, we're more than ready to help.
Yeah.
3.8 million.
I think you've been a great help, Steve, to them.
We're a divided town, we're a divided thing. How do we tell each of our respective people that elected us in that we have confidence in all of this? How do we go with, we give, and again, I know I'm on the R side and I understand, the whole process that, I get people saying, give them 0%, and I can't go, and that's not right. So wait, don't even, you know me, but how do I go back credibility and say, well, they need this money, and then we find things like that? How do I put my credibility out there with things like this? And how do you put a credibility when it's a 4-3 vote, a 3-4 vote, and all these different things going on? How do you calm these people? And I know I can, don't get me wrong. I know I can say, hey,
Yeah.
they need what they need. We've funded it. We've always been fair about this. But as this cloud continues to hang, it's harder to convince our side, as a lot of it, they'll vote no, I'm not gonna lie to you, is how do you convince them that this is a good budget, that it's solid, that this is the best way forward? Because you're right, you have the no's, you have the yeses, and we got those middle people. How do we convince those middle people that this is a good budget? And we might agree that even 4.2 is a good budget. Don't take it wrong, and we'll go through the numbers. But then we gotta sell that budget.
Yes.
We have to sell it to the town.
Yes.
And part of that is, and part of what we've built on this Board of Finance, and with your help, is credibility.
Mhm.
The town is pretty much, they don't come to our meetings as much anymore. They pretty much go along with, because we've gained credibility. And my nerves are right now is, it's so hard to put credibility on this right now. And when things like these happen, the credibility goes less. When we go to meetings and say, we didn't know we had to go through it line by line, we just approved it. And then you even asked the point blank question is, well, do you agree with the superintendent? And they said, oh yes, but that's not what they said in the meetings. So where do we get this credibility back to sell it to the town that they're confident of $58 million being spent in the proper direction?
Yeah.
Now, 56 is
Yep.
probably 100% credible. We know that from years past. 57 may be, but 58, is that credible? Not credible. And I don't know the answer. I'm not trying to say I do know the answer. And then how does it fit And what we're all missing is, and we see is, and they're not saying, how does that fit in new police station? How does that fit in with the raising cost of health? How does that fit in with, we have low gas this year, but what's next year's fuel gonna be? How does that fit in with all the pieces that we're dealing with? We need, and I think Naheed said it probably, is we really need their support to get it together so we can present from our side.
In the past, and this has happened many times, when we've all been working together, the Board of Ed, the Board of Selectmen, and the Board of Finance all believe that the budget is the right one, and that helps a lot
Yes,
to get it passed.
Yes,
It does.
yes.
yes.
But-
I don't think we're quite there.
No,
right now.
I mean, I think we're a little bit early in the process.
I agree,
Yeah, yeah, I
agree,
agree.
But
yes.
to answer your question, from my perspective, the first thing, if we're gonna sell any budget to the town, is we've gotta believe it in ourselves. And from the discussion we've had in the last, whatever, hour and a half, I don't think anybody, that's in this meeting is convinced the Board of Ed budget is the right budget, is convinced. It might be, but we're
Agree,
not.
I won't argue that
But
either.
we do not know enough to know that it's the right budget. So we've got, before we go and go to the town, we've got whatever, a month, 6 weeks, 2 months, whatever it is, to get ourselves comfortable that the budget we bring forward for the Board of Ed is the right budget.
And it fits within the scope of the town's,
At
All
that,
goals.
all that, right, so,
so we gotta verify the number and then take that number and fit it into the budget that makes fiscal sense that we've all known
Yeah.
for the past how many years we've been working together. And
Yeah.
you and I have been together now for 12 years, now
Yeah.
11 years.
and I don't know if I'm confident, but I'm hopeful with the new Board of Ed and with the new superintendent, that we're gonna get more information and more thought between now and when we go forward, and we're gonna get to a level of confidence, whatever we bring forward, so,
Okay.
even though we're not there now.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm
All right.
confident too, and I think given some time, they'll come back, and hopefully we'll move closer, yes.
Go ahead,
Question,
John.
as someone obviously new to this process this year, was this a big point of contention last year and never has kind of been resolved, or is this not as much
It
of
was
a?
better in years past, they passed it with more unanimous votes.
Okay.
Now that the makeup of the board is a little different in these past few years,
Yeah.
it's been contentious.
So it's been trending this way, though?
It has been.
Okay.
I would also say there was a little more visibility at this point in the last 2 years than there is now. And at least in the last year, I think maybe the last 2 years, both the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance made cuts to the budget that was initially brought in,
Yes.
right? So it's not like we just.
Quite a few of
Yeah.
those were
It wasn't a
based
huge
on new
amount.
information.
Yeah.
Right, so the fact that we feel like we have less visibility in the past, I think is why we feel uncomfortable.
We, a few years ago, they came to a budget and gave us more visibility, we actually added to it.
Actually did, you're right.
Because we got more visibility and confidence that it was the right budget, and then we can get behind and sell it. But, and that came though from everybody on the board seemed to be behind it, so we could get behind it. And that's the struggle now, and I think in speaking with people, and it's a great discussion here, is people were throwing out suggestions and the other side was saying we're not going. Now, that doesn't mean the suggestions were correct. That doesn't mean that this side of the table suggestions were right, but the other side of the table didn't say, no, we're not doing that because of this, or maybe we could do some of that. It was a hard no, we're not getting into it. And there was no discussion to the middle. And I think in the years past, and when Bob was chair, they'd have the discussions. Well, what do you think, and how does it go, and what's going on? And then people would at least get to voice their opinions. There'd be a rebuttal. There might have been a compromise. There might not have been a compromise.
Motion.
They do work different than us because we do come to the compromise. We figure it out. I say 3-2. You say 3-8. Brian says, well, I worked the numbers at 3-6 if we do this, and Brianna says, okay, great, 3-6, it looks good, and we put it forward. It's a compromise of a consensus.
And the last
I
thing
also
you
think in
say,
the last 2 years,
and the last thing Glenn says at every one of these, is everybody comfortable with this budget? Can we vote?
I also think that the
Go ahead, Brianna.
budget that has been delivered to us in the last like you were bringing back like when Bob was chair, I think in the last 2 budgets that had been there were given to us very quickly. And there was question about, I think this is, for me, I feel like this is the second year in a row where it's come up, similar to what Steve was saying, and it's, you're responsible to go line by line. You're responsible. Now, at the end of the day, you go line by line, and you say, you know what? what the superintendent put forth is the best possible budget. We've gone line by line, we agree with them, or her. You know, that has not happened in the last few years that I recall. It's just been, you know, a much quicker delivery. And I think that does cause for some concern when, and maybe the Board of Finance is biased in that we meet for almost 2.5 weeks going line by line.
Agreed.
But I recall, and I've been on since 2015, I've been on the Board of Finance, no, 2019, sorry, I've been on the Board of Finance, and I recall it taking a lot longer and a lot more discussion prior to the budget getting delivered. Prior to the tri-board meetings, I should say.
We just wanna have confidence, Steve, like you said, that it's right. And
That's
then we
it.
got,
We're
then we
all-
gotta,
yeah,
then we gotta
yeah.
fit it into the needs of what the taxpayers can afford and what we feel will pass. Cause that's also part, you know, what's responsible to put on the taxpayers, and I think we've been very close to that number for a long time now. We've always seemed to squeak it through.
Yes.
Honestly, I feel like we're all just continuing to say the same thing.
Yep,
So-
so let's move on.
We could probably just stop, but you could just move on, because we all feel the same way, and we're just saying it different ways, the
Good.
same way, like.
Move on. Brian gave you a
I
thumbs
gave you
up.
2 thumbs up.
All right,
You just spoke Brian's language.
so my report was gonna be so short.
It's not my fault,
With respect to cash capital, later you're gonna have a motion. And what we do is we put money into reserves to buy something, but we never let them spend the money out of the reserve. We move it to a spendable account first, just because we don't want, you know, and I use the art commission because they're always very good at asking to spend the money, that I don't want anyone else to say, oh, they're picking on me, but I'll pick on the art commission. That we don't want them to say, oh, well, we picked an art sculpture for $50 and we're gonna spend some of this money on 50 here and 50 there. We want it to be what we had intended it for, we all wanna agree. So there's money put aside, we're just moving it from a reserve to a spendable category. Audit update, it's done. Thank you. The budget, this was from last month, that Steve's budget is due on the 15th. I think he has till Tuesday, but he said he's giving it to you on Friday. The Board of Selectmen is due on the 2nd, and the Board of Finance, it depends on when you have the town meeting and stuff, but it's around the 20th. The budget process, there's certain things that we're continuing in the budget process for transparency and accountability. First, we talked about a little bit with the Board of Ed that every year since 2016, we have a salary reconciliation. Here are the salaries, here's the 2% increase, whatever it is, for cost of living. Here's what's changed because a new person came in or went out. Here's what's changed because the police moved up a step. But you can look at that and it'll be in your budget books. You can look at that and know exactly how we went from one to the other, and you can see if there's anything untoward or in there.
Will we get that on Friday as an FYI when Steve?
I'm gonna try to do that, to get a PDF tomorrow,
Okay, great.
and so you get it by PDF and maybe not till Tuesday by paper.
Okay, no, yes.
Detailed worksheets, that we just looked at those, that I don't know how the Board of Ed can review that budget without detailed worksheets, but we have the detailed worksheets for every line and every department in that budget. For revenues, the detailed worksheets with graphs, so you can see the trends, if there's any. Most of them are just totally flat. The capital committee meetings with each department with capital requests, reserve, and the finances, and meetings that the budget makers, Steve, the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Finance, meeting with every department with large increases, capital requests, their next priority forms, and our next priority form is how we disclose and decide on new investments, as they're called.
So John, the next
Whether
priority
they're
form is a
capital or
highlight
operating.
of outside the, like they put in the budget, but we might need this now or next year, next priority. So they highlight something that's gonna be on our radar, either now or down the road. the department feels urgent.
A new, for example, this year there's a new software for IT, for cybersecurity, or a comfort dog, or a body cams for body cams for fire marshal. Those are the types of things that.
So those normally, once they're approved, they would go into operating because we're gonna spend it
Yeah.
every single year, but we don't add things to our existing budget without both boards knowing, hey, this is coming in, body cams is
This is
X
the
amount.
flag that
Yeah.
we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the flag.
And we've
Yeah.
got about a half
Status
million.
quo.
Half
Right.
a million.
This is the
That's
flag.
troop status.
Yeah.
So that's what we've always done, since I've been here, that, as far as the budget process. We tried to improve upon that this year. That, the detailed worksheets, you people asked us last year to do this, in the detailed worksheets,
That's you, Naggy.
in the detailed worksheets that, show that we need this much in ammunition
You
and
people.
this much in ammunition, this much in NARCOM, that it'll show how much was asked for last year, how much was in the budget last year, so that you can see side by side. And that actually really helped us in seeing if, oh, wait a minute, this is new, that they should be a next priority form. So we did pull a bunch out and say, nope, you gotta be a next priority form for this. We put the next priority forms on one sheet, a summary, so you could look at them and say, oh wait, this one is more important than this one, and you could try and, by just seeing them all summarized in one place, it'll make it easier for you to decide which is more important, and you won't forget, oh no, they asked for this or for that.
The next priority takes it from a wish to a real want or need,
Right.
and you document your need.
Right.
Instead of putting a bunch of wishes down, the next priority form says, we have a need, and then it's a vetted need through everybody, correct? I mean, that
And we
defines the.
typically limit it to one per department,
Right.
so you really need to tell us what you want. Occasionally, if somebody comes, makes a really good argument for more than one, okay, we'll take that. We're not gonna ignore those really urgent requests.
And then we had some departments where they're new, or we always seem to have issues on the budget. Steve and I met with 4 different departments before the budgets were even due. And we tried to turn it a little bit and say, let us help you. Here's what we think, and why don't you just make the changes from there? And so we think that made the process better. The last one is we tried to do a deeper analysis on our regional partners, the Hart, Sweetheart, Probate, Candlewood Lake Authority, Lake Leelanau Authority, and Regional Animal Control. We tried to do a better process there. We tried to have the same data for them, so we have comparative reports. One of them doesn't even give us a financial report. They just say, your amount is this. So we did the budget to actual, for example, one of those, their actual in 2025 is 200,000, and their budget for 2027 is 300,000. And if you look at just what they gave us, it looks like it went up 3%, but, well, no, that's a lot more than 3% when you compare it to actual. So just trying, this is the first year we've done a deeper dive on that. You'll hear them complaining about me.
Sorry, it's all good.
And we want a
but-
standardized format, and we've gotten some pretty good reaction from people. Like in the regional animal control, they're keeping their capital, non-recurring with CNR, in their checking accounts, and it doesn't make any sense. You know, that's a
So
long-term.
Steve and I are gonna work with next year asking for a standard format instead of us asking questions, give us this, give us that. For a standard format, 3 years of actuals, current budget, requested budget. Use the same categories as your actual and your budget, that would be really helpful. I'm trying not to twitch as I talk about some of these issues. 10-year capital plans, fund balances, what are your fund balances? It's surprising that some don't know, but we need to know. And then some have outside financial statements being prepared, some don't. And I think with the ones that don't, or one that doesn't, the data was it really made me twitch. That they were taking an Excel spreadsheet and putting the expenses in the categories and not reconciling to a total. That what if you missed a check? And then the numbers didn't seem to line up with the budget, and I picked the wrong year, I put that number in there.
We're gonna try to help.
We're gonna try to help them and get them better, if they'll accept it. But that was a deeper dive, just trying to do the process better, so when you see it, it'll have a summary sheet from the town that gives the actuals and the budget, and it'll have a list of questions and their answers to help you. And if we want to change those, remember, we've got to get the other 4 towns or so to make
To
the
agree.
changes. I'm not sure that we need to change, that one where they went up 50%, it was a work in progress, but the other ones, I'm not sure we need to change anything other than the process going forward. Any questions?
No? Thank you. Brian, you wanna do capital, and then we gotta make a motion, so that he could go, we gotta make 2 motions, so she
Yeah,
can
no,
go.
nothing new. The capital, the budget and the 10-year capital plan recommendations were both submitted to Steve a couple weeks ago. I'm still gonna have some of my note, but if you wanna talk about it, I'm around, I'm back.
I may be making a call to you, but you laid it out so well. I'm very comfortable, especially with supporting documentation. We're gonna make some changes, but
Yep, okay.
So that's all handled.
I will give you a call on those to get your,
Yep, I'm around.
Alright,
Okay.
I'll move on to new business, and I'll make a motion that we approve the selection of Silver Petrocelli as the architect for the community center, and approve the transfer of the amount of $66,314 from account RE 25F reserve for the pre-referendum services for a new community center to GG 25A reserve account for the pre-referendum services approved for spending. Do I have a second?
Second.
We've known about this for a while. Steve has talked about it in meetings, that they were going through a process. They had 3 vendors. They chose the lower one. They vetted the lower one. They found out that the lower one was credible and would do a very good job for us, so that's where we are. So all in favor? Aye. Motion passes 4-0. All right, I also like to make a motion. 5-0. I'd also like to make a motion, under new business, that we adopt our, budget schedule. Because we have our budget meetings to be, so I would like to, put the motion on that we meet March 3rd, March 4th, and March 5th. That's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We try to keep Mondays and Fridays open. March 10th, 11, and 12. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. March 17, 18, 19 as designated meetings, but the 20th as a reserve in case we don't finish. We'll put it on to 20th, but that's tentative. We'll try to finish up on the 19th.
The 10th, or sorry, the 11th.
Is a regular meeting.
So we'll do 2 or?
2, we've always done
meetings?
2. We've done it like a short, our meeting short, if we have to approve anything for Steve, like transfers,
right.
and then we'll roll into the thing. What we've done in the past is after we approve these dates, is we let Steve and Marcia go to the departments and see which ones they feel need to come to us. If we also have a department we want to come before us,
Just tell me.
just email, Steve, you can, each one of you can email Steve direct, I don't need to be involved.
I
If
know you
say-
wanna talk to the Arts Commission, I know it.
Yeah, or if any department wants to come before us on your
Yeah.
side, we would give them the opportunity. So even if you didn't choose them in some department, the arts department said, we really wanna go before the Board of Finance, absolutely.
The library's done that.
Yeah,
Right.
that's fine, whatever, is everybody good with that? I think that's enough time, I think,
Yeah, a couple questions. One is, should we get in one of those schedule enough deliberations, right word, for the Board of Ed budgets? Not necessarily ask them to come, we can offer for them to come, but do we wanna have a specifically?
we'll let Steve build that into his schedule of departments, cause if police can meet one day, he's gotta,
Well, yeah, Board of
He's
Ed's
gotta-
not really a department, that's what I was saying.
yeah, no, we would fill them in, they would get a slot as a department, I mean, they're not a
Capital has
department.
slot, too.
Yeah, and Capital have a slot, and I think we'll leave that to Steve and Marcia to fit it to what, because maybe some of their employees are working late that day, whatever it is,
Yeah,
it
whatever they want,
works.
that's fine. Okay.
So, yeah, if you could slate a capital, and slate in a Board of Ed in your thought process there.
Mhm.
Uh,
One other question,
Go ahead.
quasi-related. So when, you might have flashed it, when is the town meeting approximately then?
We have to have it, if we're going to bond, which we are, we have to have it at least, I think, 60 days. So we're gonna have to have a town meeting to set the date of the town. We have to have a meeting to set the town meeting, which then sets the referendum date. But we usually do that well ahead of time, so, because we have a time constraint when we're doing bonding.
I just want to know what the date is.
So
So,
let's
get
pass
that.
this motion here
Oh,
now,
yeah,
so that he
sorry.
can go.
Yes.
So all in favor of this motion? Aye, with the
Aye.
meeting dates, it's on Steve.
Brianna,
All right.
you- did you approve?
Yeah, Brad,
We
she's
lost
gone now off the
so
screen.
she's off the screen.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, now ask it.
Yeah, so, yeah, so I'm
Thank you,
trying to figure
guys.
out what the town meeting is.
Good night.
So why don't you coordinate with Steve offline on that?
Yeah.
You guys figure out what'll work, because you present.
So it's
You still wanna
usually on a
present?
Tuesday, and to get,
It's
to
always a
have it
Tuesday.
hit properly, March 31st would be great.
Good. I'm not around the previous
would work,
Tuesday,
right?
so.
So
that
you
might
would be
work.
okay to present again?
Yeah, I figured you guys want me to.
Yes, I would love you to.
I don't know, yeah, if you guys want me to, I'm happy to.
And we'll take care of booking the high school auditorium. We'll do
You
all
and
of
Brian
that.
is working
We'll do
together. I mean, if Brian knows the date, work it together, and then he shared the slides, I think, with everybody last year, right?
Mhm.
And everybody went over them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think all of us gotta be involved if you're taking that on.
I'm just gonna try to make it a little bit more, it's kinda how it's born, I'm just gonna make it a little bit more state of the town's finances and then budget, which,
Whichever you wanna do.
That's
It's,
good.
it's at your,
okay, it was
Your
kinda that way, I'm
discretion.
just gonna make it a little more easy to separate the two.
I'm
That makes
okay
sense.
with
I'll
all
need a
that.
lot of help, Marcia, as you know, so thank you in advance for putting up with me.
No one is gonna accuse you of being dry.
Actually, you presented excellent.
Yeah.
Dan was
absolutely.
good. You
Dan
were
was good,
just as good. So, Dan, I hope you're not listening.
I never can fill his
Dan was
shoes.
good.
Dan
Dan was very good. All right, I think we're all set. You want to lead us, Brianna, out?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Smith.